There you stand in front of the dungeon of fear and hunger. Many tales surround this dungeon as being a cruel and dark place, but as a daring adventurer you decide to go anyway, trying to save one of your comrades. As you stand there outside, right in front of the dungeon, you feel the mist behind you start to create a solid wall. You're not able to get out just yet. Not that you'd want to. Exploring some barrels and crates, you find a few supplies as you hear wild hounds howl in the wind. It's not long before they reach you and they attack you. You fight your hardest, throw an explosive vial on one of them and try to fight the other ones, but to no avail. They win and they kill you, eating your corpse as their reward. Alright, now that's wrong. Let's rewind that. You run inside. The hounds can't seem to follow you inside, so you seem a little bit safer. Despite that though, the dungeon of fear and hunger is very dark and eerie, and something doesn't seem right about it. You decide to just go through with it. Try to find your comrade and get out as fast as you can. As you explore this dungeon, you find many different things. A dark priest, corpses, a little girl? Really? In a cage, nonetheless. But what most notably is found there is a dark, twisted human being, or what remains of a human being. A prison guard who tries to attack you. You win from the prison guard as he tries to kill you, but you notice quickly how he has barely anything on him. As you delve deeper, you find yourself in the thick walls of moss. Weird creatures that seem to poison you wherever they go. There seems to be this weird flower growing on the walls, and they're also noticeable on some of the creatures' heads. Eventually, one of them notices you, and with a hit of her lantern, there you go, burning to death in a dark, moss-covered dungeon. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that little story I made for you right in the beginning of the video, but I wanted to just give you a little trigger warning. This game is messed up. And I mean messed up. The scenes you just saw are nothing compared to some of the stuff that this game can show you. The dungeons of fear and hunger are interesting for a number of reasons. First of all, it's because they're actually not available on Steam if you don't have a filter put on where you say that you actually are allowed to watch sexual content. Is this some type of weird hentai game or some sort? No, not at all. But there is some sexual content in there. Yeah. Now, while making this video, I downloaded two mods. One I find necessary, and one I find to just be something that I wanted to do so that I didn't have to censor every bit of content I filmed. It takes away any of the nudity in the game and replaces it with logical things that can be placed instead. The prison guard, as you saw, had a long skirt. Usually, that skirt is a lot shorter, and there's something dangling between his legs, if you catch my drift. Now, why else is Fear and Hunger this interesting? It sure as hell ain't the gameplay, but at the same time, it kind of is. See, the gameplay is very simple. You walk around a map, the dungeons, and the other thing you can do is just do turn-based combat. Those are the two main things that happen during the entirety of the game. There is no other mini games, there is no special interactions, there are no special mechanics. The game is very, very simple. Despite that though, it is not forgiving whatsoever. There is one special thing about the combat system though, which I do find that I want to talk about. See, instead of having the usual where in most games you'd find multiple enemies and you'd have to choose whether you attack enemy A, B, or C, this game actually takes an enemy and splits them up into different categories. So for instance, you have both legs, both arms, torso, and head. A normal prison guard, for instance, has that. Usually, what you've learned from a lot of different games, you're gonna aim for the head. Do not. That is very, very wrong. This game will quickly teach you that attacking someone, like you're standing in front of them and just going, ha, will not hit your target for one simple reason. They expect it to come. See, as you walk around the map, you have to understand that this game teaches you a lot of things differently from any other game in its genre or in any fantasy RPG, whatever genre you have. You'd expect the hounds I told you about at the beginning or the prison guards to be some sort of tutorial to tell you how the combat works. Fuck know, that only teaches you that if you try to fight anything in this game, you're gonna die. See, running inside in the front or standing there in front of the dungeon just twiddling your thumbs will just lead to your death, while going to the side path that I didn't even go on during this whole story section, that's where the real tutorial is. But as I may have hinted throughout the story, there is barely any reward for fighting, so most of the time you don't even want to be doing that. You'd rather just be dodging enemies at that point, and that's what the game wants to teach you. This is more of a realistic approach to these type of RPG games, right? If you'd killed some weird squid tentacle monster, sure, you might get a trophy out of it, right? Taking its head or taking a piece of the tentacle, and that would work for traders in a game. But this is not a game where you just find a trader in the middle of a dungeon. You are alone in this dungeon, and it is filled with creatures that will try anything to just kill you, or worse, because there are worse fates than death in this game. Not to spoil too much, because I do think that you should try this game out yourself, but if you lose from the prison guards, there's two possible things that can happen. One is you just lose. You just end the game, and you just have to restart. The second thing is he kind of involuntarily has sexy time with you in a prison cell, in a very dark prison cell, and he makes your behind bleed. And I don't really continue playing after that, but I feel like you just kind of die afterwards. I mean, this game does not reward you 90% of the time for doing certain things. It just shits on you the entire time. Talking about there's literally a toilet in there, and the game allows you to crawl into it. But when you do, you just fall into the toilet, and that's it. That toilet is useless. What did you think? Was it going to be some sort of secret? No, it is a toilet. You just jumped into a hole filled with shit, and there are many different other things, but as I said, I do not want to spoil this for you. There's this genre where this game is kind of part of, which is losing is fun, and Fear and Hunger simply just takes that and just maximizes it. You just lose and lose and lose and lose. There are barely any save points in the game. Anytime you go around the corner could mean that you're just done for. The entire run is lost. It's more a roguelike in my eyes, because every single time, whether you load from a save or you just turn off the game or you make a new game, every crate and barrel you loot will have different loot every single time you play the game. Here comes my biggest complaint for the game. There is so much RNG. See, there is RNG in just how the levels are made up, because even the dungeon changes the way it looks. But that's not too unbearable, as it's just a bit of a different layout, but certain sections you'll get pretty used to and you'll know your way around the map. But some enemies have attacks that allow you to do a coin flip. There are other times where during the game you have to also use a coin flip, which makes me so incredibly infuriated. Most of the times when you miss one of these coin flips with a certain enemy, the enemy just one-shots you. It's over. The game is done. You lose because you didn't hit a 50-50 chance. Hell, I don't even know if it is a 50-50 chance. Most of the time I end up losing it. But there is a bit of an extra to that. You can find lucky coins, and these lucky coins simply make it so that when you do these coin flips, you do 2 of them. So you have a higher chance of hitting that heads or tails, whatever you want to hit. Luckily, the sequel does handle this a lot better, but this is a type of RNG that in a game that is already that unforgiving just makes it really, really annoying to play the game whatsoever. But as I said, there's a lot of different things that can happen, and most of the times you will just end up losing. This game is called Fear and Hunger, but actually it's Trial and Error. That's a better fitting name for the game, because that's most of the time what you'll be doing. Just going someplace, dying, repeating, not dying that place, but just dying the next corner around, and doing that over and over and over and over again. That is what's going to happen to you all the time. Yet what I can say is that this eerie feeling, this feeling of just being nobody in a dungeon filled with things that want to kill you, it is there. This game has given me PTS motherfucking D. Every single time I hear that boom sound, I get scared for the life of me. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to lose 2 hours of progress because I just took a wrong turn. I have almost 20 hours in this game. Almost 20 hours in this game, and I don't even know what I'm doing, okay? I don't know how to get out. I've tried getting out. I've tried doing everything, but I just can't do it. Oh, and remember in that story where I talked about this comrade you have to save? Well, that guy who's locked up in a cellar, I'm not gonna tell you where, well, if you spend in-game 30 minutes, that guy's dead. You have to get through the dungeon and find him within 30 minutes. Or he's gone and your quest kind of just fails, which doesn't mean you can't win the game or get an ending, but it does mean you just lose what your initial quest was. I've gotten to the point where I've gotten this guy, right? I told him, let's get the fuck out of here. Everything here wants to kill us. Everything here has an erection. Let us fucking leave. This game goes deep, and I mean deep. You can sink hours into this motherfucker and still not know where you are, what you're doing, and how it's supposed to be done. There are 4 playable characters, and all 4 of those characters, whether you pick them or not, will be in the dungeon at some place at some point. You can trigger them, you can do a lot of different things. Next to that, you also have other characters that can join your party, up to a party of 4 people. And doing this, you will actually be able to fight a lot better, being able to do bosses and whatnot. This game isn't impossible, right? Don't understand me wrong. With the right preparation of supplies and skills and armor, equipment and whatnot, you're going to be able to defeat even the most difficult enemies. The only problem that comes with that is that going into fights, as I said, is not useful whatsoever. Most of the times when you do defeat someone, it doesn't result in anything but just you having less health, less supplies, and them barely giving you anything. Some of these characters you need to kill. Like, for instance, this motherfucker. You see this guy, right? You see what... He's got a crow head. Motherfucker, look at his one arm. How am I supposed to defeat that shit? Oh, I'm supposed to defeat him to continue through the game. Oh, okay. And that only puts you in a situation where you still have to go way further before you actually get somewhere. There's also different endings per character. What? How do I even get an ending? Is death an ending? If it is, it's definitely the most common one you'll get because this game just seems to hate me. In all seriousness, I believe that Fear and Hunger is a wonderful game. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. And not a lot of games can get that out of me, where I keep playing more and more and more. Hell, I'm looking up guides, writing stuff down, trying to find out how I can get further into this game and how I can actually explore it better, as well as just do the trial and error of just playing the game, dying, going somewhere else, dying again and again and again until I do finally get to a point where I can win against these characters. Therefore, if I've piqued your interest, I feel like you should buy Fear and Hunger. And if you're not convinced just yet, maybe wait for a sale. I don't know. I found it somewhere randomly on a sale, and I also saw a YouTube video about it, which I'll probably link in the description, which goes really in depth on further spoilers and whatnot. But if you don't want to see them, just please buy the game. It doesn't even cost that much, actually, but I mean, I guess torture usually is free. Now, I understand that maybe this isn't the type of game for you. Maybe you're more of an action-based kind of guy. Well, I got an indie game that I talked about not too long ago called Blood West. So why not check that video out and see if that one piques your interest instead. As I also mentioned, this game has a sequel, and the sequel is also really fun. I haven't played it nearly as much because I kind of want to get an ending on the first game before I do put in the hours on the second game. It gets a lot more complicated, and it does a lot of things way better. So it is definitely also a game that I want to make a video about, but that's for the future. Subscribe if you want to see it. That's all for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Anyhow, bye-bye.